Hey, beautiful people. So today is April 9th or 4/9. So today you guys are going to be working with Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. This is what my copy looks like. You guys have an electronic copy that has been uploaded to Classroom. It's been uploaded as material. So there you can find PDF of this, and it's got the page numbers in it as well. It matches up with my book exactly. So for those of you who want to read along with me, let's begin. I took my book cover off though just to make it easier. Today we are reading pages 3 through 9. So page 3 starts out, it looks like this. You guys are going to want to find the Roman numeral 1 or the capital I and a little bit of poetry right here. So Ta-Nehisi Coates' book begins. Do not speak to me of martyrdom, of men who died to be remembered on some perished day. I don't believe in dying, though. I too shall die, and violets like castanets will echo me. So just a few words here I want to make sure everybody got. Martyrdom is the death or suffering of a martyr being someone who dies for what they believe in. And a parish day would be kind of like a church day or a religious day. So here, Sonia Sanchez says, don't speak to me of the death and suffering of martyrs, of those who died for what they believe in, of men who died to be remembered on some parish day, on some church day. So it sounds to me like she's kind of saying these martyrs are people who died just to be remembered. She goes on to say, I don't believe in dying, though I too shall die, and violets like castanets will echo me. A castanet is a little finger symbol. They're the symbols that you attach one to each finger and then go cling, 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 cling. So let's continue. We're going to pick up on page 5. There's no page number on this one, but there's page numbers on the next pages. So page 5 of Between the World and Me begins. Son. Well, it's got a so he's writing a letter to his son. Our author, Coates, is writing a letter to his son. Let's see what he says. He says, Son, last Sunday, the host of a popular news show asked me what it meant to lose my body. The host was broadcasting from Washington, D.C., and I was seated in a remote studio on the far west side of Manhattan. A satellite closed the miles between us, but no machinery could close the gap between her world and the world for which I had been summoned to speak. When the host asked me about my body, her face faded from the screen and was replaced by a scroll of words written by me earlier that week. The host read those words for the audience, and when she finished, she turned to the subject of my body, although she did not mention it specifically. But by now, I am accustomed to intelligent people asking about the condition of my body without realizing the nature of their request. Specifically, the host wished to know why I felt top of 6, that white America's progress, or rather the progress of those Americans who believe that they are white, was built on looting and violence. Hearing this, I felt an old and indistinct sadness well up in me. The answer to this question is the record of the believers themselves. The answer is American history. There is nothing extreme in this statement. Americans deify democracy, meaning we treat democracy like a god. So Americans treat democracy like a god in a way that allows for a dim awareness that they have from time to time stood in defiance of their god. But democracy is a forgiving god, and America's heresies or beliefs that are at odds with what is accepted or held true by their religious beliefs. So these faults with their reasoning, their heresies, include torture, theft, enslavement, are so common among individuals and nations that none can declare themselves immune. In fact, Americans, in a real sense, have never betrayed their God. When Abraham Lincoln declared in 1863 that the Battle of Gettysburg must ensure that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth, he was not merely being aspirational. At the onset of the Civil War, the United States of America had one of the highest rates of suffrage in the world. Here, by suffrage, he means suffering. So let's keep going. He says, the question is not whether Lincoln truly meant government of the people, but what our country has, throughout its history, taken the political term people to actually mean. In 1863, it did not mean your mother or your grandmother, and it did not mean you and me. Thus, America's problem is not its betrayal of government of the people, but the means by which the people acquired their names. This leads us to another equally important ideal, one, top of 7, that Americans implicitly accept, but to which they make no conscious claim. Americans believe in the reality of race as a defined, indubitable feature of the natural world. Racism. The need to ascribe bone-deep features to people and then humiliate, reduce, and destroy them inevitably follows from this inalterable condition. In this way, racism is rendered as the innocent daughter of Mother Nature, and one is left to deplore the Middle Passage or the Trail of Tears the way one deplores an earthquake, a tornado, or any other phenomenon that can be cast as beyond the handiwork of men. For those of you who don't know, the Middle Passage is the passage that slaves took to get from Africa to America when they were brought over during the Triangle Trade Slave. So that Middle Passage is that journey that slaves took to get to America. The Trail of Tears is the journey that Native Americans took when they were forced out of their lands by Andrew Jackson. After a big land purchase from a European nation, Andrew Jackson kicked all the natives that lived in those regions out, sent them further west, and this caused many to die. So, right there, he's talking about how we're left to hate racism the way that we would hate those two very terrible things in history. Let's keep reading. So, but race is the child of racism, not the father. And the process of naming the people has never been a matter of genealogy and physiognomy, so much as one of hierarchy. Difference in hue and hair is old, but the belief in the preeminence of hue and hair, the notion that these factors can correctly organize a society and that they signify deeper attributes, which are indelible. This is the new idea at the heart of these new people who have been brought up hopelessly, tragically, deceitfully to believe that they are white. These new people are, like us, a modern invention, but unlike us. Their new name has no real meaning, divorced from the machinery of criminal power. The new people were something else before they were white: Catholic, Corsican, Welsh, Mennonite, Jewish. And if all our national hopes have any fulfillment, then they will have to be something else again. Perhaps they will truly become American and create a nobler basis for their myths. I, top of 8, cannot call it. As for now, it must be said that the process of washing the disparate tribes white, the elevation of the belief in being white, was not achieved through wine tasting and ice cream socials, but rather through the pillaging of life, liberty, labor, and land, through the flaying of backs, the chaining of limbs, the strangling of dissidents, the destruction of families, the rape of mothers, the sale of children, and various other acts meant first and foremost to deny you and me the right to secure and govern our own bodies. The new people are not original in this. Perhaps there has been at some point in history some great power whose elevation was exempt from the violent exploitation of other human bodies. If there has been, I have yet to discover it. But this banality of violence can never excuse America, because America makes no claim to the banal. America believes itself exceptional, the greatest and noblest nation ever to exist, a lone champion standing between the white city of democracy and the terrorists, despots, barbarians, and other enemies of civilization. One cannot at once claim to be superhuman and then plead mortal error. I propose to take our countrymen's claim of American exceptionalism seriously, which is to say, I propose subjecting our country to an exceptional moral standard. This is difficult because there exists all around us an apparatus urging us to accept American innocence at face value and not to inquire too much. And it is so easy to look away, to live with the fruits of our history, top of page 9, and to ignore the great evil done in all of our names. But you and I have never truly had that luxury. I think you know. So this is where we're going to end today in the reading. We're going to pick back up and finish chapter 1 next week. Today you guys have some questions to answer with our reading, so go ahead and check out the next video if you want help with those. All right, bye, beautiful people.